Our next speaker is the Infield guru. I enjoy a lot of his work. Follow him on Twitter. Read the books. He's a infield instructor. Works with Coach Strosky as well. He's a retired high school baseball coach, but has worked with thousands and thousands of athletes on body movement and fielding the baseball. He's a UNCW alumni, all-decade team, incredible player as well as a coach. So let's give a warm welcome to Coach Trent Mongero.
Yeah, I'll get it out of the way. Grab your ball with it. Hey guys, can everybody hear back there? I project pretty well. You know how us high school baseball coaches are. It's an honor to be here, and I always love speaking at high school baseball coaches conventions because I walked in your shoes for 29 years. So I really understand your journey, and I try to make the information that I talk about applicable. I hate the word guru. I'm not a guru, I'm a student of the game. I have my opinions and philosophies based on 35 years of digging into infield play at the highest level. Been blessed to be around a lot of people. There's been a lot of debating, and that is the reason why we have these 5 myths that are still hanging around. It's because guys, unlike you, that don't educate themselves, they think they kind of know it all. They don't kind of get up with the most recent information. And then it's up to you to decide. That's the way I did it. I just put it through the logic meter, basically. Is what you're saying makes sense? Does it help me be more efficient, more consistent? Is it what they're doing at the highest level? Can I repeat it, which is the consistency element? Okay, so when I was in college playing at UNC Wilmington in the late 80s, there was some things that we were taught back then that were not actually correct. And the funny thing is, I remember, and let me be really clear, I had one of the best infield coaches on the planet. Mark Scaff was not the head coach then, he was an assistant. He was our infield guy. They were teaching us based on what they knew at the time. Money, guys. These myths, these misteaches, these different things, I still see them as I do infield camps all across the country. I leave at 2:30 today to go to Arkansas. I was in Texas over Christmas break for 3 camps with Nate. Then I did one in Nashville during the ABCA on Saturday and Sunday. I just did Maryland last week. I'm going to go to Arkansas, then Ohio, then New York, then Kansas City. Those are the next few weeks coming up to do the infield clinic. And when I'm teaching those guys, I often see these misteaches dominating the action of the players. Okay, so let's dive into it, and if I get done early, we'll open it up for some questions. Okay, because my guess is you're probably going to have some. I encourage you just to come in with an open mind. Forget your preconceived notions, and let's just see if I can kind of explain. And because we're touching on 5 in 45 minutes, I'm really just going to be able to kind of dive in a little to each, because to me, each myth is a 45-minute talk, really. Infield, did they get the handouts? You guys got it? Okay, so myth number 1, okay, press or push through all ground balls. So we're talking about a glove action where we literally take our glove and we move it out away from our body in an action such as this, okay, on all ground balls. And when you watch drill work, that's the dominant action that I typically see from all players, baseball and softball players, all ages. And Ron Washington, I know I'm being videoed, okay, he is the man. He's very, very good. And this drill that he's working on, where they're working on a press, is cool. It is one of the glove actions that we use, okay? There's 3 glove actions. It's one of them. Okay, the press is one of them, but unfortunately people take things out of context, whether it might be a high school coach, a college coach, certainly youth parents. They watch these videos on YouTube and they know Ron Washington is highly respected. and they watch these videos where these guys are pressing through, and they think that that's what they're supposed to do on all ground balls. So let's kind of dive in a little bit to this. Okay, there's basically 3 possible glove actions on, we call it hop manipulation. Hop manipulation, very, very fancy. Just means there's 3 different glove actions to use based on the hops, or the hop that you're going to play, okay? Or the hop that you're going to get sometimes. Not always the choice. So you see receive, pick, press. We'll dive into that a little bit more. Here are the 5 possible hops. Nate created this little diagram, okay? We all really kind of knew and talked about the short hop and the long hop, right? And the in-between hop. That's pretty like common knowledge for infield play. I'll say it again, the short hop, the long hop, and the in-between hop. I mean, that's pretty much, I was taught that in the late 80s. But we really break it down a little bit further, okay? So ball number 1 is a short hop. That's the one closest to Tabor there. Okay, that is a perfect short hop. That is one of the ideal hops that we're trying to get. There's no reason to press through that hop whatsoever. We use a glove action called a pick, P-I-C-K. And I really don't want to confuse you. I think a pick and a receive are almost identical. Okay, it's an action where the glove actually works from in front back towards the body as the ball's entering. Okay, so we'll just kind of go through them here. Ball number 2 and ball number 3. If you look on the photo, you see cones there, hazard cones. Okay, this is the hazard zone. The hazard zone, ball number 2, is a short in-between hop. It's short in between. When you get a short in between hop, that's when we're going to press. The Ron Washington drill, okay, that's where we're going to press. We're going to take that short in between, and we're going to make it ball number 1 by cutting down the distance. So if you look right here, I don't know how well you guys can see. Hopefully, if you need to stand up, you can. Okay, a perfect short hop, if I've worked into a perfect fielding position, so a perfect short hop is going to be like right here. There's no reason for me to go out. All I'm going to do is work up underneath this hop, okay, into a position to throw. When I get a short in-between hop, which is about another 6 to 12 inches out front, this is like a ball with teeth on it. It's in the hazard zone, ball number 2. So what I do is I literally press, and by taking my glove forward, I've now turned ball number 2 into ball number 1. Okay, short hop, but I got to go out there to do it. That's the press action. Okay. Ball number 3 in the hazard zone again. This is one that we never really broke down. We just talked about in-between hops. This is a long in-between hop. Okay, it's still in that hazard zone. It's just a long in-between. There's nothing that I can do by going forward that can actually turn that back into ball number 1. Right? It's just too far away. So what I have to do is create time and space. I create time and space by drop step. So now I've taken ball number 3. If you look at the second cone furthest away from Tabor, and I've turned that into ball number 4. Okay, I've taken this long in-between hop, which is about right here, okay, depending on the height and speed and everything, but just for demonstration purposes, that's a long in-between. So this ball is going to be on the way up when I catch it. It's a hazard ball, okay, it's an in-between hop, long in-between. So all I do is by drop stepping, I've now created time and space, and I've done my best to make that a long hop. So that's how I manipulate it with my feet. So we've done 1, pick, 2 is a press, 3 is a receive. So when I drop step, I'm literally going to receive midline to get myself in a position to throw. Why on the throw would I drop step and then go, forward? Okay, I'm not going to collide with the ball. I have to receive it, midline, get my feet in position to throw. Ball number 4 is the long hop. Okay, any of you coach soccer in here? Don't get your feelings hurt, okay? It's a joke. We say if you can't catch a long hop, you need to go play soccer, okay? Because it is the easiest hop to handle. It's literally, if you're an ant, the long hop is like catching a pop fly, okay? And obviously we're going to receive, so I'll show you from the side view this time. That same ball, if it's bouncing way out there and it's going to reach its peak and be on the way down to me right here, I'm just gonna receive it. I'm not gonna collide with that ball either, okay? So we're gonna receive ball number 4. And then ball number 5 is one that I never really used to classify, that Nate added, which I thought was brilliant, because we have a roller. It's not really a hop. Ball's skipping or rolling on the ground. It happens, okay? And literally we just receive that ball as well. So a receive action is this right here out front. So the ball hits, it's gonna start to hit my glove here, not deep underneath. You know, the term funneling and all that stuff has been so debated over the years, but the fact of the matter is, when the ball is traveling at a high rate of speed, we have to give to it. There's no reason why a ball is rolling on the ground when I press it, okay? So all we do is receive as we work through to our midline in a position to throw. And those are your hops. So here is the press. This is a drill that you might see on YouTube. Ron Washington is working with one of his prospects, and I'm not even sure who it is. Okay, and this is what we do 5% of the time. Typically, however, when we press, we use one hand, not two. Okay? But I want you to watch the collision that's taking place right here and tell you if you see this happening in the game very often. So what you have to ask Ron Washington is this: watch that ball get ejected out front. Okay? What is the intent of the drill? When you learn the intent of the drill, then you have perspective and context to what they're working on. But when you just see the video, if you're a young parent or a coach, you think, man, that's what we have to do every single time. And that is a myth. All right, let's move through. So here we go. This is a one-handed press. Usually they're on high choppers when we do it the most. Okay, we're going to come in and press through the midline to throw, or it might even throw from a slow roller position. Hopefully you can see this. You're going to see him press forward. Another big part of the press, by the way, is once the ball is secured in the glove, we don't continue to take it away from our body. Okay? If I was at a camp right now, I'd say time and space. And all the players say time and space. Why in the world, when I'm dealing with an internal clock and a guy getting down the line, would I secure a ball in my glove and continue to take it away from my body? Just carry it out there and be very violent with it. Okay, we're just going to control it. We're going to turn that short in between into a short hop. Then we got to get into our midline to throw. We don't have time. Okay, so that's one of my big problems. And when we do teach the press at camp, I tell them it's 5% of the time at the highest levels. You got to learn it. It's got to be in your toolbox. Okay, you'll use it more at the lower levels because you're not going to get a true hop all the time in the field, and your feet aren't as good as big leaguers. Okay, so you're going to end up pressing a little bit more, but be quiet with it. Be quiet. Okay, just confident and quiet actions. Once you secure, let's get midline, center line, and throw. All right. So this is the receive or pick glove action. One of my favorite videos. I'm not sure if the music's going to play. I just screen recorded this off somebody's tweet or Instagram post. Lindor is unbelievable. See if he pushes through here. He just receives. Glove never goes forward. This is more of a pick or a receive. They're almost the same. I want you to watch the arm stroke too, because we're getting ready to get into that here in a minute. Okay? That's like a thing of beauty right there. That's efficiency. Okay? So we're going to receive or pick 95% of the time. So what does that mean? Yeah, we got to practice it, right? We got to practice it 95% of the time. All right, so here's Perry Bone Hill working with some of his infielders on what they're working on, more of a pick, receive, glove action. The next two videos you'll see pick and receive. You won't see one press. They secure up underneath the ball, midline, center line. Okay? You saw Lindor, that's what they're working on right there. Again, we don't see context in these videos very often. Here's a pregame routine with a big leaguer working some receiving, hinging actions. Watch the glove work back to the center. Up, up. Those are picks. Okay, up, receive. There's nothing going forward on those hops right there. Nothing. Okay? So I can show you, and I'm going to show you video right now. We're going to watch Major League shortstops playing the position. Live video footage. You tell me if you see any press actions. I wish I could make this bigger. I'm afraid to do it because it might mess up the slideshow. But they'll pick or receive. God, it's so little, but there it is. You're just going to have to trust me if you can't see it. Can we turn the lights out a little bit? Anybody got that? When I show these videos, maybe they'll be more visible. Just gonna have to take my word for it. There's not one press. And I didn't like cut these up. This was just, I just think I put in a YouTube search, like shortstops making plays. And then I just screen recorded about 30 seconds of it. Okay? All right, lights can go back on if somebody's operating that. Or it really doesn't matter to me right at this point. All right, so that's myth number one. Okay, so obviously we walk away knowing that we don't press on every ground ball. Hopefully nobody in here felt like that, but if you did, hopefully I was able to make you think it through a little bit. Now we need to start working on the other glove action. Use minimal footwork patterns on all ground balls. So when I was a young player, even in college, it was like taboo to take an extra shuffle. Okay, like anything other than right left field, right left throw was like bad news, right? Glove tapping was bad news before you caught it, after you caught it. I mean, we were like little robots in college. So let's bust this myth, okay? So the internal clock. The average runner, major league level, right-handers home to first, 4.3, lefties, 4.2. Okay? Trey Turner, 3.6-ish, okay, getting down the line. This is the time the ball's hit, all the way until we receive it and get the ball to first base. So there's factors that are involved in this internal clock, which we're going to cover, but what you're going to see right here is what's called a minimal footwork pattern. So we're talking about once the ball's fielded, okay, we're right left field, right left throw. There's nothing more that's happening in there. That's as efficient as you can possibly be. Okay, a lot of times I call it a two-step pattern. That's after you catch the ball. So you'll see them all here. Right, left throw, right, left throw, right, left throw. So it's right, left field, of course. Right, left throw, right, left throw. Watch the arm actions too, but I don't want you to get hung up on that. I want you to watch the feet. So that's minimal footwork. You have to have that in your toolbox. It's the foundation of fielding. It's got to be in your toolbox. You've got to be able to use minimal footwork. Okay? There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. There's a time when it's absolutely needed. Okay, based on your internal clock. If Trey Turner is getting down the line and he hits me a routine free hopper, okay, I'm going to use minimal footwork patterns to get rid of that ball, or he's going to be safe. Okay, I know my arm strength, I know my range, I know the speed of the ball hit, I know the speed of the run. Okay, so beat the clock. Here we go. Speed of runner. This is your internal clock. These are the factors that go into your internal clock, and it happens instinctively with most really good high-level players. The speed of the runner right there, okay, you either know that from scouting reports or the previous at-bats or his reputation, okay, but nothing about the speed of runner should make you speed up. If you practice 4 seconds and under at all times and everything that you do, slow rollers, double play, feeds and pivots, ground balls, backhands, glove side, okay, there's nothing about a speed of runner that makes me speed up, because that's when mistakes happen, when I get in a hurry. Okay, so you got to practice. But the second factor is the speed of the ball hit. How far do I have to range to catch the ball? Footwork needed to be able to make a quick, accurate throw. I'm talking about more backhand, glove side now, forehands. Okay, and then arm strength. So that all goes into my internal clock. This is really interesting. So Tucker Frawley literally posted this on Twitter yesterday. I screenshotted it and sent Tucker a message, say, dude, can I use this in my slideshow? It's perfect. He said, yeah, just give me credit for it. So I'm giving him credit for it. Okay? So shortstop ease, minimal versus extra shuffle. Very interesting. Okay? 2 shuffle errors. 2 shuffles. That's extra shuffle. extra. So you're taking extra steps. So what that's going to look like is this. So I'm right left field. Now I'm going shuffle, shuffle to throw. Okay, I'm adding in an extra shuffle. Look at the errors. Minimal footwork. 116. Why is that? Because when you use minimal footwork, okay, everything has to be perfect. If you don't get a good grip, something happens in your footwork, the way you're arranging and moving, okay, you have to make a perfect transition. Everything has to be perfect. Almost, double, pretty much. Close. The errors of the edge. So now the question is, when can you actually add in this extra shuffle? Okay? When is it okay to add steps? When there's time. Okay? When there's time. Okay? An extra shuffle allows for better grip, more momentum, better direction, less distance to throw, less stress on the arm. So like in college, they play 56 games in 90 days on average. Big leaguers, it's ridiculous, right? You know what they play, 156, and they have 10 days off the whole year. That's BP, that's ground balls, that's throwing to get loose, throwing in between innings, making plays. They throw all the time. So when they don't have to throw hard, they don't. Okay, they don't. But this is, so you can actually add a glove tap if that helps. The big thing is to be light, loose, free, and easy. So that this glove tap, as we're shuffling, is a choice. What we've learned by watching other sports is that the glove tap is just a way to stay athletic. Okay? If I don't glove tap when I'm adding in a shuffle to throw, my upper body is still. And then I got to sync it back up with my lower body in order to make my throw. How far is the throw, by the way? From the 5-6 hole, deep in the 5-6 hole, where the clay meets the grass, where Jeter made his jump throw from? How many yards on a football field is that? 50. 50 yards. 150 feet. We got less than 4 seconds from the time the ball's hit. Okay? You've got to be able to be light, loose, free, and easy. We're obviously going to try to get rid of the ball as minimal footwork as possible when we're going deep in that hole, but I want you to know that throwing and being able to repeat is critical. So if you watch quarterbacks all the time, when they're in the pocket and they're looking at different options to throw, what are they doing with their hands? Okay, they're tapping. They don't just keep their hand on the ball the whole time because it's not athletic. They want to stay free and easy, and you'll see them literally dance. I think you can envision that. I don't have to do it for you. So if that extra glove tap, when you're choosing to take extra steps, okay, you can always add in that glove tap. That could be a whole other myth category, not the type of glove. So here is the same Lindor that you saw earlier. He was using minimal footwork the first time you saw him. Here he is adding in an extra shuffle. So he's good on the ball. You'll see right, left, throw. Okay, 4 touches of the feet to the ground. This is where he can be throwing with minimal footwork right there. Okay, he's going to glove tap on the right side right there, adding in his extra shuffle, and you see the short arm stroke. Okay, so if we're constantly telling our players, and my son Tabor, I'm not going to say where and when, but one of the coaches he's had at the higher level was all on him if he ever took an extra shuffle. Okay, and what do we know about high-level first baseman when the game speeds up? Do they play up like high school third baseman or deep? They play deep the vast majority of the time. So I get a ball smoked at me 110 miles an hour at shortstop. Okay, the ball goes 100 feet in half a second at that speed, and I catch the ball at shortstop, and the first baseman is not at the bag. I take minimal footwork and chuck it over there. He ain't even going to be there. He's not going to be there. Okay, so you got to be able to have both of these elements in your toolbox. So this is Tabor. This is my son Tabor. This just happened to be some footage somebody took with a drone, and you're going to see him literally add in another shuffle. So he's going to take 3 quick shuffles in the time that most people do 2. Does he do that all the time? No. The major leaguers do it sometimes, yes. Okay, but you'll see him dancing with the ball. It's a 3 shuffle pattern. 1, 2, 3, boom, throw on 5. Okay, so once in a while, He'll even add in another shuffle if he knows the runner's really slow, the ball was smoked at him, he's waiting for the first baseman to get there and get set up. He's cutting down more distance, okay, keeping his momentum, and he's staying free. All right, so here's a minimum of, here's an example of minimum and extra steps. I think there's only one actual ground ball in this series. The lights are about to go out. There's only one ground ball in this series where it's minimal footwork. The rest are all extra shuffles. And when I showed you the diagram from Tucker, you saw where most of the errors were made on the minimal footwork. Okay, when guys felt rushed, basically when they felt rushed. Okay, all right, here we go. Lights, here we go. Got there? No. There was a glove tap. There's a glove tap. That was minimal. The rest of them will be that extra shuffle. There was 3 shuffles like favors. Okay, so just an example. Lights back on. If they don't understand internal clock, okay, we all know high school infielders typically stay back too much. They take too long. They don't cut down distance well. They don't have a good feel for time. That's why you constantly have to put them on time. Now, I was blessed, you know, not my entire coaching career in high school, but in the last 10 years, I had 2 fungal men, machine, two of them. And those of you that have them know, like, they're very expensive, but they're amazing if you know how to use them. And everything was on a clock with that horn, everything, every ground ball they ever took. So the guys started to realize, you know, safe, 4.3, 4.4, 4.5, 4.7, you know, I got to start coming to get the ball a little bit. I got to be more efficient with my exchanges, whatever it might be. And they start literally cleaning up themselves based on that clock. Okay? All right. How we doing on time? Myth number 3, round off all ground balls hit at you. So I remember this one. This is still a big one. Okay? Here's, I'll let you write it down. This is the one I love the most. Watch this one at shortstop. Ball's hit to me. Okay? I mean, what in the world? Talk about wasting time and effort. Okay? That was a big one in the 80s. Okay? Second baseman especially. Second baseman. The ball hit, you know. Okay? I don't mean to be, you know, facetious because I taught it forever, and we do. There is an advantage to getting slightly off to a side of the ball in right action. We can judge speed and hops better. The problem is, if we get too far off to the side, by the time we realize the speed and the hop, it can be biased and we can be in a bad position to field. And I can remember, literally, I have there's not a lot of memories that I have when I played, like specific memories. We were playing in the Valley League. This is before the Cave League stuff. Before the Coastal Plains League. So in the late 80s, I'm playing in the Valley League. I'm playing shortstop at Newmarket. And there's a ground ball hit right at me. This was before they redid the field, too, by the way. Those of you that remember. Okay, and I literally do one of these, like these joggers here. I go, you know, ready to work off to the side of the ball. And next thing, you know, I realize, like, uh-oh. You know, and I, like, have to side saddle it. You know, I made the play. And no one thought anything of it except me. It was like that. I was not in a position to feel that ball right there. You know, that was bad. So we have to start to learn to adapt a little bit. Okay. If you have time, the ball on the left, the guy on the left, that's about as far off as you need to go. Your left ear. Okay. And it needs to be hopping, you know, 3 times, and that doesn't happen that often. Like balls that are literally hit right at me. That are bouncing 3 times. Like that doesn't happen very often. Okay? In fact, if I can cut down the distance and field the ball cleanly, if I want to, I can create momentum and direction after the catch by taking shuffles, like we just talked about. Okay? Big leaguers hardly ever round balls off. They just don't. You're not going to see them do like this on a ground ball. Like go. Okay, they're just going to work right off to the side of it. They're going to cut down. Okay, they'll just play just a little off to the side and work back to it. Because they know the ball travels so fast. The mind is trying to process speed and distance and hops. And you get too far off. So this is literally my book from like 12 years ago where I'm teaching the guy, this is like it's supposed to be a sequence. I went in there, screenshotted it out and said, guy on the right, wrong. But that was me teaching like how we got off to the side of the ball 12 years ago. Okay, so I've learned. Okay, I've adjusted. So the one on the left with the check mark, that's about as far off as you need to get. And it's literally just going to be a step right for plays, work through it, depending on the speed of the ball. So the going around chairs, and I don't really have a problem with it as long as the players know. Like, you'll see a lot of this stuff now on video, which by the way, it's really exciting. And in no way do I think I'm like the master, as I told you, but there's so much more infield stuff out there now than there was like before COVID. And so the guys have tires on the ground and stuff, and they're working around tires, and they're coming through. It's an over-exaggeration, so you got to be careful about doing that too much, because I just explained the why behind that. Okay? So we don't round off every ball hit right at us. Only 20% of ground balls are routine at you. That's an estimate. Routine, 3 hops or more right at you over 60 miles an hour. That's the definition of routine. Okay, any slower on a 90-foot field, you'd be going right through that ball. We don't have time to round off. I just talked about that. Possibly your left eye, left ear, okay, to the right of the ball. That's about as far as you need to get off to read speed and hops, and to create a little angle and get direction. Create the hop of your choice and use appropriate footwork to throw. So we just talked about hop manipulation. So the 2 hops I'm trying to manipulate if the ball is bouncing, and I want a short hop or a long hop, preferably a long hop. Okay, preferably a long hop, second choice short hop. The other one, you don't want them at all. Let me know if I'm going too fast, and I'll answer some questions. We should have time. Can't throw hard from the V slot. That's a term that Nate called. It's just a short arm stroke. I use this terminology because I think it describes the V very well. There's like this myth. In fact, when I used to teach throwing, okay, I had this like thing online forever called the most important 20 minutes of practice, and it is your catch play routine, which we'll talk a little bit after this. That's my next presentation, modified and updated for infielders. But infielders, when you watch Lindor earlier, that first ground ball, what was his action? After he fielded the ball, he went midline, center line, straight to V. Okay? That's what we call the V slot. There's no wasted motion. We're finding out that once you get past 90 degrees, so if you look at me here, I'm inside of 90, 90, right? Once my hand gets outside of 90, so there's no advantage gained back here as far as hand speed. It just takes more time. And I don't have time, especially when I'm using minimal footwork. So this ties into the areas of minimal footwork. If you got guys with long arm strokes, they do this to throw in the infield. My right foot is down in the position to throw, and my hand is still back here somewhere. So now coach is saying, get rid of the ball, and I'm releasing, back here somewhere, stress elbow, stress shoulder, and I got balls taking off and flying all over the place. I can't be consistent with it. So there's a lot of issues. But you can throw the absolute mess out of the ball. Here's some examples. Okay, when you pull a bow back, when we hit. So throwing and hitting are what? Sister skills. So literally how we use our body to hit is almost exactly how we use our body to throw. So watch. Here's a V slot to throw. Here's my hitting stance. Boom, hand position. Okay. Now we can argue the elbow up, elbow down hitting stuff if you want to. Okay. But the whip is created from the elbow, and I don't make the guys all be exactly the same. Some you'll see they're different. Some guys are higher, some scap load more. Okay. Some they're a little bit further away from their body, some are in tighter. But that whip is created through the V slot, and you can throw very hard and very accurate from there, and very far. Okay. It's all in minutes. I'll get to it in a minute. So we're building continuous speed as we work into the V, into our whip. Most infielders throw at what arm slot? We'll talk about that in a minute. So here's 100 miles an hour across the infield from the Futures game. You might have seen this one on Twitter or Instagram or something. It's going to show him throwing it, and he's throwing 100 miles an hour. And I don't think he needs to throw 100 miles an hour. He's just showing his arm off right here. But if you watch his arm stroke as they slow it down, you'll see how tight it is. That's the main purpose of showing the video. I don't think your infielders need to, you know, throw like this. But V to the whip. Two o'clock, arm slide. So this is, you know, one thing about Tabor, okay? Some of you, most of you probably don't even know, that's my son that I'm talking about. He's a shortstop at UNC Wilmington right now. Has been the last 2 years that he's a senior. So this was during COVID. We were playing long toss, and I just had it on video. And I had like 2 dads tell me at recent camps, like, you know, you can't throw hard or far. I'm like, why? You know, and so I break the video out. So I thought it'd be good to show. So he's throwing 375 feet right here for the V slot. So behind the goalpost on the far end, to 5 yards past the goalpost on this end, and he's not even really, believe it or not maxed. We weren't filming this to try to get him to show off. We were just filming his distances on his long toss, but I had it. So it's going to be lights. Anybody got them? So what I'm saying on the video, if you can hear me, is there's no trickery. You know, he's down there, and here comes the ball. You'll see it come into the screen right there. And I'm 5 yards past the goalpost. So lights on, please. Thank you. So can you throw far? Yeah, you can throw far. Okay, in front of the V slot. So what I love is this. How many of you have seen the recent film on Nolan Ryan? Anybody? Oh, it's awesome, isn't it? It's awesome. And so I knew that Nolan Ryan was, like, in my mind, he was like very short, and so was Roger Clemens. But when I started watching the video of his earlier years, he had a lot of length. Okay, I'm talking about Nolan Ryan. He had a lot of length on his backside, and what did he struggle with so much early on in his career? Command. Okay, he couldn't repeat. He had trouble repeating it, any kind of quality breaking pitch. He was all over the place and literally almost gave up pitching. If you watch the documentary, he was ready to quit. Okay, and then they started shortening him up. I sent Tom House an inbox on Twitter, and I said, "Did you guys intentionally start shortening him up?" And he said, "Yes, we did." He said we wanted to get him down, you know, down the mound faster, and he, being an athlete, figured out how to shorten up. And if you watch him and Clemens throw, okay, they both are very, very tight, and they throw the absolute piss out of it. And just think about your breaking ball. So here's what they did. If you go to their latter careers, Clemens pretty much did it the whole time as far as I know. Because I got video of both of them on my iPad, but not in here. This is not a pitching thing. So what they both did was they went here. To make up the time to land, they would go pocket right here, up. So they would go boom, boom. There was no like back in here. And they literally released from this whip. You saw the guy just throw across the infield, okay, at 100 miles an hour. Now when you're tight in here, just think about how much easier it is for your breaking ball. Okay, as opposed to trying to get all the way around and find that spot every time. You know when they rush down the hill and they have long arm strokes, they're leaving their arm behind, hanging that breaking ball, they can't repeat. Okay, so now the trend, believe it or not, in a lot of organizations and colleges is to shorten the arm strokes for the pitcher. And when infielders, like shortstops, go to the mound, they don't change a lick. It's not like I got this arm stroke when I pitch and this arm stroke when I play shortstop. Okay, no, you throw exactly. If you're short already, you stay short. And it's not that hard to short guys up. What time is it supposed to be done? So this is a little video. Nate actually put this video together. You don't need this video necessarily, but lights, please, when you get a chance. So we're just going to show some guys in their V slot. Colton Wong. Yeah, you'll see a little bit different, you know, as far as height or where you catch them in the throwing process. And then we got some live video where you'll see it as well. I don't like that. We'll talk about front sides in a minute, but here comes the video. Gold glove, second baseman. All right, last myth for this discussion. There's like 20 of them, by the way. So this is myth number 5. Infielders throw straight over the top. Could not be more wrong on this. You can flip the lights on if you can. So this is myth number 5. You write it on your sheet. Infielders throw straight over the top. I don't know why we've been saying like 12 to 6, because to me, on a clock, 12 to 6 is like pure backspin from this release point up here somewhere. That's the only way, if I stay behind that ball, that it's going to go 12 to 6. I know what we mean, perfect backspin, staying behind the ball, but it's really a misconception. So most infielders throw from this 2 to 3. Okay, that's where the high level infielders throw. If you actually do a V-slot throw, you'll see how easy and effortless it comes out from there. You can have a touch from there. Think about being over the top. So if I'm fielding down on the ground somewhere, and I got to throw up here, what am I eating up? Time. Okay, I'm eating up time. Now let's think about release points. Okay, if I try to rush and I release the ball too early from straight over the top, where's the ball going? Over to first baseman's head. If I hold on to it too long, it's going in the dirt. Okay, it's very hard to have a touch. I think Correa, who's with the Astros, I'm not sure who he's with now, he's one of the few that really gets on top of almost everything. Now, do we ever throw over the top? Yes. It's just not our primary release point. And we'll talk about that in a minute. If I have a choice, if I'm doing minimal footwork, if I'm not on the run or doing a do or die backhand or left side, I'm releasing probably somewhere around 2 o'clock. So backhand, this is where we throw higher. So typically, if I'm not a declared backhand, okay, not a declared backhand, not this one here, where I'm gaining ground, but the one do or die that I'm going away from my target, where I'm catching back here, okay, going away, first base is way over there. That's when I'm going to throw more over the top, because I have to get distance. We talked about the distance already. It's as far as 150 feet. Okay, all the way in the 5-6 hole, all the way right where the grass meets the plate, very close. Okay, so you imagine me trying to throw from down here, from that far. Okay, it's just going to be like this. It's just going to take off on me. And a lot of times I have a hard time getting a 4-seam grip on a do or die backhand. So it could be a 2-seamer from a low slot. I'm not going to be very accurate. When we're going up the middle, left side throws, okay, are going to be more from the 2 to 3. Why? It's logical. Because if I try to throw over the top and I got all my momentum going up the middle, what happens is I lose my legs, I start falling away, and now I'm throwing more off balance than I want to be. Okay, I tried it. Is that pretty logical? I mean, that's pretty logical to me. All right, anybody in here that's interested in possibly hosting a camp, give me a call. That's my number. We can talk about all the details you need to do it. I talked about my next camp is coming up. My website is coachmongero.com. My email is this. I will not probably share this entire presentation because they did not be happy. But I can talk to you about parts of it and help explain things, and that kind of stuff. So these are some of my accounts right there. Appreciate a follow. And I'll follow you. Twitter, I typically don't do a lot of follow backs on. I don't know why. It's just how it started when I started a long time ago. Just putting information out a lot of time. But Instagram, if I know it's you and you were here, I'll follow you back. I just don't follow a bunch of. There's a lot of weirdos on Instagram. Just telling you, I get blown away by the stuff. So